Hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make one of the buttons in my 20 to Stitch fabric buttons book. This is available in many bookstores. It was published by Search Press, or of course you can get it direct from us. I'm going to show you how to do the bottle top button. The full list of your materials will have popped up initially, along with a photograph of what's needed, and we'll make sure that we'll list it down at the bottom as well. But the first and most important thing you need is a bottle top. This one is sort of the standard milk bottle top that you get from supermarkets here in the UK. So this is going to make a fairly large button, but you can also use the little tops from your sort of hotel samples and things like that. You can get quite a different variety, and each one will lend its own look to the actual button. So the first thing to do is to take a piece of cotton wool and to just unroll it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to place that around the edge of the bottle top and tuck down the insides. And try to do this as neatly as you can with regards to what's on the outside. And obviously on a smaller one you're going to have to cut that strip. And if you are using a really big bottle top, because you want to make a really nice big focal button, you'll probably need 2 pieces of the cotton wool. When you've done that, you then need to measure, and you measure the sides and measure the base. And then you need to make a pattern so that you can cover the base. Now this pattern, I would always recommend try one out first, just before you start gluing and cutting out loads to make a matching set. Try the first. And that is that you take 3 times the height and 1 of the base, and that will be the size of your circle. So you need a compass. We're in lockdown at the moment, and I have left my compass at work. So I've done my measurements, and instead of drawing up on a piece of paper with a compass, it just so happens that my circular button template tool will work for my outer circle. So the outer side just happens to be just about exactly the size that I need. And this isn't an exact science, these measurements. This is just to give you a guide so that you can work out your own patterns. So as I say, do test it first. So we'll cut out our circle with the fabric that we want to be on the base part of the button. Of course, you may wish to use the same fabric for both the base and the top of the button. It doesn't matter. But if I show you in 2 different fabrics, it may be easier for you to see exactly what it is that I'm doing. I'll cut that out, get rid of all the fluff off the table, and then I'm going to thread some sewing thread. I'll start with a back stitch. I'm actually going to start with 2 just to make sure that this holds in. And then I'm going to work a running stitch all of the way around, just as if I was covering any a singleton or any other button. If you work your running stitches for gathering fairly small, then you'll get sort of a neater edge as you fold over. It's much easier to control what you're doing if your stitches are smaller. But they don't have to be perfect, and nobody's going to come out and measure the size of your stitches. So just do whatever works for the size of the bottle top, your fabric, and so on. And this is the reason why you do also need to do a test, because if you're using a very thin fabric, for instance, or something that ravels very quickly and easily, you may wish to add a little bit of extra onto your circle so that you can just bring your stitches in further or even turn under the edge. This part is not going to be seen on the finished button. This is just so that we can cover up that bottle top. Okay, so and obviously, if you have a right and wrong side of your fabric, it's important that your right side is on the outside. I'm going to make up a little pouch. I'm going to pop the button with the bottle top with the cotton wool inside, and then we're just going to pop some glue to the inside along the edge. Not the top edge, but what's going to be on the inside. We don't want any of this glue to show, because otherwise you'd have to worry about what glue you were using. Then we're going to gather that up. And you can tweak that around a little bit. So when we're pretty sure that that's nicely gathered, we're going to start folding in. And we can arrange any of these folds at the edge. But what we're doing, let's see, I'm squeezing in and I'm making sure that this fabric is sticking to the glue. Now I've come round a bit, I'm just going to trim off that sewing thread. You notice I didn't knot it or anything like that. Now at this point, if you think, oh well, it's not sticking, I want a little bit more glue, that's all right. Pop it underneath. The thing is that you don't want the glue anywhere along this top edge, because then it will show with the finished button. So you can put as much glue on the inside as you actually want to. And your folds along the side here, you can also tweak those a little bit if you need to make it look a little bit more even. So there we have our covered bottle top. And you'll notice that it's flat at the bottom. That will be the back of the button. Okay, so we'll just set that aside. Now you need to now make a ball button, well, a pad really, for the inside. Again, you'll need a circle, and the circle should be the size of the base and one side. As before, we're going to work a running stitch, and we're going to do it as close to the edge really as we can. Sorry about the glue on my fingers. And again, start with a back stitch. Oop. And try not to pull your back stitch out before you've even made it. You can knot as well, but even if you knot, I would still always do a back stitch. So in exactly the same way as we did the cover for the bottle top, we're going to do a pad. Go round and round. And again, this one, you don't need to worry too much. Smaller stitches I do find are better for making an even ball or pad. Make sure that your right side is on the outside, and then get some more of that cotton wool. And stuff that. Now, here is where your own personal taste will come in as to how much of a ball that you actually want this to be. You could, in actual fact, make something really big and then really pad it out, and you could, which actually could be used as a pincushion if you wanted to. But you just need to do a little test to see where you're at. I think I can just pull out those stitches a little bit on this one. Caught my finger then, and add a little bit more of the cotton wool. And the nice thing about cotton wool as well is that because it's easy to tear off bits, you can shape it a little bit more easily. The other thing though, worth remembering, that one's stuck in. The other thing worth remembering is that you could, if you wanted to, put a covered button in here or a thread button, anything else as well, so long as it fits inside, so that you can make some quite elaborate buttons and ones that sort of resemble more couture buttons using exactly the same method. So I'm quite happy with that. I think that will fit quite nicely. Yep. So I'll just tighten up that a little bit. And I'm just going to work a little stitch across here, just to hold that in place a bit. You don't need to do this, but it will help to secure your stuffing and everything in place. Okay. Now we'll add some more glue inside. And then fit the central piece into the space. Now at this point you can use a needle or an awl and just do some shaping if you need to, just to make it nice and round. As I say, if you use a bigger circle here, you can have something that pads out. You want to make sure it's as tight in there as possible and all stuck down to the glue. And that is effectively your button complete. To stitch it on, you could put a little closed jump ring to stitch at the back to make a shank, or you can actually make a thread shank, or you could stitch straight through the back of the button. But another thing that you could do, as I was saying with a different, placing a different button in, you could then glue in a decorative button as well, so that you can make really any type of sort of padded and couture button using this method. And you'll be recycling or upcycling as well. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.